Hi, class. Welcome to week 5. Let's get started. Okay, here we are. We're in week 5, and it's writing to analyze cause and effect. So we have a really busy week, and I want to take the time to go through the entire lesson, so this may take a while. This week, we began a new segment of our course, and it's going to focus on an argument called cause and effect. So over the last couple of weeks, we have developed skills to structure organization, preliminary research, and develop an argument. So this week, we will develop ideas for cause and effect essay by focusing on key skills such as information literacy and preliminary thesis formation. By the end of the week, we will have selected topics, conducted preliminary research, and develop a clear path for our drafts for our cause and effect essay. So our goals for this week are understanding the purpose and features of cause and effect writing, learn about how to support arguments with effective research, practice key writing conventions to help build stronger documents. So our skills spotlights are critical thinking, information literacy, communication, global awareness, and technology literacy. So here are some things to consider when thinking about compare and, well, cause and effect. Compare and contrast was last week. You can use cause and effect in just about any sort of situation that you may have. If you're the sort of person who always asks why, then you probably already have a pretty good grasp on the importance of cause and effect analysis. So, to write about cause and effect analysis, you may write about it in education, for your career, for personal reasons. And here we have a list of things that you may write about for education. In a business class, analyze the reasons behind the failure of a particular product and so forth. And for a career, understanding why profits have decreased. And for personal, figure out why your car won't start. So these are several different ideas of cause and effect analysis. In most of these examples, the focus is on a problem, but you can turn it around and make it be on a success. For example, by replacing failure with success or weight gain with weight loss, the focus can be turned to understanding why something went wrong. So you have 3 different main ways to organize a cause and effect essay. You have your effects of a major cause, a cause of a major effect, or a causal chain of events. So you have to decide which method you are going to use when you're developing your essay. Now we want to move down to focus on developing a thesis, because it's very, very important to start off at a good pace where you have a good developed thesis that's going to carry your essay. So developing a solid thesis for causal analysis can be challenging for one simple reason. You have to determine the causation. Is real difficult to determine that. Even in real life situations, in the real world, it's really, really hard to determine the cause of something. So consider this example of a problem in the workplace, such as the failure to meet sales targets. And this is the situation. The sales manager is blamed for the performance of the sales representative. The sales manager, in turn, blames the marketing manager for not identifying enough potential sales leads. The marketing manager faults the IT manager for not addressing a faulty software program used by the marketing employees, and so forth and so on. With so many fingers to blame being pointed, how is it possible to identify the real cause of the problem? Let's look more closely at the failure to meet sales goals. Was it the sales manager fault? No, I don't think so. The sales representatives were just as effective as they had always been. What about the marketing? I don't think so either. Marketing identified the same number of quality or potential customers as usual. So what about IT? They are not to blame either, as the software glitch was remedied in less than a day. So why then did the company fail to meet its sales targets? Well, the answer is simple. The company's upper management increased the sales target, but without providing any additional resources to meet those goals. The sales manager, marketing manager, and IT manager all knew this, but they were afraid to criticize upper management, so they blamed each other instead. Now, that's a little situation. And so you have more information. So now you can develop a solid thesis. The company failed to meet its sales goals because it raised sales target, but did not provide additional resources to meet those goals. As a final point in determining a thesis for a cause and effect essay, it is vitally important to distinguish between correlation and causation. As noted in the example, there was a temporary software glitch and the company did not meet its sales goals. So this is correlation. One event occurred after another. However, correlation may not be causation. So just because something is related, it does not mean that it is the cause of it. As is noted in the example, there was a temporary software glitch and the company did not meet its sales goals. So the failure to meet sales goals was not caused by the software used. The underlying reason why many businesses fail to solve their problems is that they mistake correlation with causation. So we want to go ahead and move on to our TED Talk that we have for this week. And we want to apply the idea. Watch this short TED Talk, it's not that long, and then focus on the questions that we have listed for you before you watch the TED Talk so you can have these questions in mind. So this TED Talk this week is about leveraging, is how one might leverage an understanding of opinion, data, or beliefs to more effectively persuade others to adopt a specific position on a debatable issue. So go ahead and watch that. And after you watch that, you want to go ahead and continue the rest of the lesson, evaluating and understanding sources. So as previously noted, information literacy consists of finding, evaluating, and applying information. To write an effective causal analysis, high quality sources are a must. So that is so important. You have to have good sources with a good reputation that are peer reviewed document. So let's assume that your cause and effect essay, you're going to write about how a business has become so successful. You're chosen this topic because you're interested in starting your own business and you want to learn what it takes to be successful. So you choose Apple because you own a few products and you admire their company. You know a bit about their history and their founder, Steve Jobs, but you need to know more to understand the reasons for their success. So that's where the research comes into play. You have to find some credible sources in order to tell the story that you need to tell and support the opinions that you have. So let's go and do the writing lab, the skill focus. This is on mechanics. So we're going to talk about capitalization, numbers, and abbreviations. It's only 6 minutes. Watch this little short video and then play the hide and show game. They give you an example above and you go and rewrite the example correctly in this box. And after you have your answer, then you can review the correct answer. You can reveal the correct answer. And it's 3 of these questions for you to practice the concept. So, assignment, connection, cause and effect essay. You want to get your topic selected. You want to start having that in mind so you can get started. We list you some topics in the discussion to choose from. So you want to make a list of the topics that you might want to consider and then narrow your focus. And then finally, after doing some brainstorming, you pick your topic and you want to start planning strategically. And that is very important because you have to have time to read the research material and write about it. So you want to try to schedule that in your busy schedule. I know a lot of you guys are working. It's kind of the norm to work and go to school now. So I know a lot of you guys are busy, or either you're probably at home with kids homeschooling because of the situation we're in. Just do the best you can, get something in writing so that we will have something to look forward to uh, reviewing and giving you some suggestions. And last week, I want to go ahead and insert this on your week 4 compare and contrast essay. You have been afforded the opportunity to submit that essay after I have reviewed it to the tutoring, DeVry tutoring services, and have them review your essay for a higher grade. And you can resubmit it to me for a higher grade, but you have to submit it to me first. If you go to the tutoring service first and then submit it to me, that's even greater. You still have that opportunity to do more work on the assignment if you need to. So let's move on down here to developing your research question. So one of the interesting things about research is that the more you do, well, the more you do, the more you will have to do, for the simple fact that that's what research is. You search and you research. So oftentimes conducting a quick search or reading an interesting article sparks new ideas that require or prompt us to explore topics in more depth and conduct additional research. Now that you have begun to explore your selected topic, think about some ways that you may be able to refine that focus. To do this, develop some research questions to advance your studies of your topic. Consider what you already know about the topic and your audience and think about the following. So here we go right here. I want to pull this up so you guys could see it. What additional information do I need to find? Here we are, we're right here. What types of examples like stats, case studies, company examples will help me develop my point of view? What are my goals for my research? What point of view do I want to persuade the readers to understand? So have these questions in mind when you're doing your research, and you'll be able to get in the right direction to help you develop your ideas for your subtopics to help build your argument in your cause and effect essay. So conducting research. As you begin your research this week, here are some tips for getting started in the DeVry library. And don't forget, we did do that video with Jason Rossi, the librarian. He gave you guys just about all of these tips that we have right here for tips for searching. Don't type in long phrases. Click on the box on the right that says full text so you will only see full text articles. And the box on the left that says source type, click specific types of resources to help narrow your search. Use the Boolean operator, and we talked about that inside of the video for Jason Rossi when we talked about the and to narrow your search and the or to broaden your search. So use those phrases to help you get around what you need without having to go through so much difficulty and so many sources. So you can narrow it down to a few good sources by using these tips. So tips for citation. Use the reference tab in MS Word. It will help you with your formatting. And also in the DeVry library, click citations and then the cite this article icon. Copy and paste the APA citation. When you copy and paste in your citations, you have to make sure that you're not bringing other formats into your document. Sometimes you will bring formats that are shaded or different colors or different style print. So make sure that you remove all of that, erase all of the content that you bring over there with you and reformat it to the content that you are currently using. So use APA formatting in our textbooks to help guide you with your citation. Use the website such as citationmachine.net, or you can use Noodles Tools, or you can go to Purdue OWL, and I think Citation Machine is in the OWL of Purdue, is embedded inside of there. There are a lot of different ways that you can have your citation generated without actually having to sit there and figure it out step by step. It's good to know how to figure it out step by step, but you can save yourself a lot of time by using some of those citation generators. So tips for troubleshooting, talk about it. Ask questions in a discussion or email. Ask a librarian. There's many ways that you can have your questions answered. So there's no use for you to sit there and ponder and wonder when you can send an email, or it's just as simple as sending an email to either a librarian or teacher or a tutor or what have you. So making a plan. As you approach the end of the week, consider the research you conducted. What have you learned about your selected topic? What do you still need to explore? As we get close to week 5 and look forward to week 6, create a plan for your cause and effect essay. Begin by taking a quick inventory of your progress this week. What is your topic? What information have you found about your topic through your research efforts this week? What is some additional information you still need to locate? Now you can help get organize your thoughts by reviewing this sample that's provided for you. And it has the introduction, which is spelled incorrectly. I can't change it. It's one of this embedded by the university, but I noticed it right away. The introduction, body, conclusion, and reference. So you just click on it and it'll give you an example of an introduction. And when you're looking at the introduction, pick up clues on how it started. Pick up clues on how articles are cited. And then here's the body. Do the same thing. Look for transitional words and phrases. How are people transitioning from one paragraph to another paragraph? How are they citing their sources? Here, just look at all of the different citations that you have in this one particular document. And then here is your conclusion. You want to read the conclusion, and here's your list of reference. So this is just something for you to review to help you when you're planning your essay and making sure that you are following whatever guidelines are given to you for this particular assignment. So developing a working thesis. The final stage of your pre-writing process for this week is to develop a preliminary thesis. As you begin to shape your argument, consider the following. What is the topic? How can you clearly state this in your thesis so that your audience understands your argument clearly? What is the relationship between the cause and effect? Is this clear to the audience? What do you want your audience to understand about the topic? What are your goals for writing? Once you have developed a preliminary thesis, turn your attention to the rest of your paper. How will you organize your paper? What main ideas might you break your ideas into? How might these ideas be developed into individual paragraphs and topic sentences? What key examples might you use to help develop your main ideas and paragraphs? What useful information have you found in your research that you can begin to organize? What information will you put in your introduction? What type of contextual information do you need to provide in order to make your topic and your content clear? What information will you put in your conclusion? What is your purpose in writing? Answer the above questions and be sure to save a copy for yourself to help guide your drafting process in week 6. So the next assignment is coming is the cause and effect essay outline. So that is your next assignment. And in here, it gives you some examples of the different types of outline that you are able to follow. And it's a good thing to write from an outline because it helps organize your thoughts. So this week, you will begin working on your cause and effect essay that will be completed in week 6. So please see chapter 5, cause and effect essay assignment, as well as chapter 5's lesson, the one that I just went over with you, for a list of possible topics and all the assignment requirements. After selecting a topic, develop a rough outline and share it with the class in your first post. As is noted in our textbooks and in lesson 5 this week, there are 3 main ways to organize a cause and effect essay. Remember, we went over those 3 ways. Effects of a cause, causes of an effect, and a causal chain. So this is a visual reference of your thesis, something that you can follow. If this is your thesis, then here are your supporting paragraphs and your subparagraphs. So after making your initial post, you want to provide helpful feedback to the outline of at least 2 of your fellow classmates. So you want to make sure that you're not referring to the same classmate over and over again. Try finding someone whose post has not been answered and answer them. I've given you some information on cause and effect. This is a little additional information just to help you on this journey of understanding cause and effects. So week 5, chapter 9, analyzing cause and effects. This is your chapter exercise from the publisher. You read chapter 9 and then answer the questions that are associated. And if you have any problems with answering any of the questions, remember you can always review that concept before you give your answer. And you have 3 of these assignments. So you have chapter 9, and then you have chapter 13, planning and writing a research paper. And then you have chapter, your editing and mechanics. So your editing mechanics. This is the shorter exercise of the 3. These are all from the publisher. So make sure that you take care of those and get those done. Now, this is the big assignment that I would advise you to cut and paste and put in a separate Word document so you can follow the assignment exactly. So analyzing causes and effects is something we do all the time. At school, we may be asked to analyze the effects on society of a technological intervention. In our personal lives, we might want to find out the cause of why we gain or lost weight. At work, we might investigate the chain of events that led to the success or failures of a new product or service. This process of finding out why is at the heart of cause and effect writing. So for this essay, you're going to select one of these topics right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 topics. So if you select something that's outside of this list, you have to get it approved by me first. So make sure that we are following guidelines and selecting one of these topics to write about. So there are 3 main possible ways to organize cause and effects, as we just went over. And then to help you succeed, it's a lot of information in chapter 9. So you want to go review chapter 9 and then connect it with the lesson that we just went over with chapter 5. It's a lot of reviewing for you, prepare you for this. So research requirements. For this essay, you will need to find 4 or more sources, and at least 2 of them must be from the DeVry library database and 2 other high quality credible sources from the internet. So the purpose of this is to provide support for your ideas in the form of facts and stats and expert opinions, of course. As time, any time that you make a claim, it needs to be supported. So you never start a sentence what everybody knows, because you can't be so general. All sources listed in the references must be cited in text. All sources cited must then be listed on the reference list at the end of your document. So here are the basic requirements. The length of the paper is 4 to 5 pages, not counting the cover page or the reference page. Compose the essay using Microsoft Word and using 12-point font Times New Roman. Make sure your essay is double spaced. Format and cite sources using the 7th edition of APA. Consult chapter 14, pages 389 to 420 for a sample essay and numerous types of citation. And then here is the rubric. The assignment is worth 160 points. So you want to make sure that you're hitting all of these categories to get the desired amount of points. Start early. Don't wait till the last minute, because this is an exercise that's going to take a lot of time in order for you to get it done. So take your time, reach out to the librarian, DeVry tutoring. You can even send me information. I do not accept any email assignments. Submit your assignment in the assignment area, and I will review it for you. Let's work together and make sure that we can get this taken care of and submitted timely. And I think that's just about it. So you guys have a good day, and I will see you next week. Bye.